So I want to start on the project side. And one of the most simplest differences is that first line that we've got on the project and the product side, that projects are finite. If you look at any definition of what a project is, and the first thing you'll spot is that they're temporary, that they have a defined beginning and a defined end. Whereas if you think about the products that you interface with, and the products that you as an organisation own, and the products that you as an organisation utilise, then we've got an infinite perspective. So in other words, what we want is we want our products to last for as long as possible. Yeah? I have a group of favourite products that when I'm in class I use as examples, and one of the best examples I can give you for me is the Mars bar. And me personally, I hope the Mars bar lasts forever. I know it's going to change. I know it's going to adapt. I already know it's adapted over its life already. So that's the first thing. Yeah? So are you just involved for a temporary period of time? Is your involvement with this particular initiative does it have an end? So if your role is that of, say, project manager, it's going to have an end. You know that there's a point in time where you will have to hand over what you produce in your project, and that will have an end. And if you're calling something a project and it doesn't have an end, well, the bad news is it's not a project by sheer definition. If you're working in a project, you are much more risk aware. In fact, the very nature of a project is that you're taking risks. You're taking risks to improve the situation. And that's why projects should be regarded and dealt with within an organisation as investments. Short-term pain, and part of that is risk-taking for long-term gain. Whereas in a product environment, you tend to find that the people in a product environment are very risk averse. And this can lead to a tension between the stakeholders within the project environment that want the investment to be successful and understand the risk-taking that they have to take to do that, and the business as usual or operational staff that are very risk averse. And for some reason, project managers sometimes don't understand that tension. Why are they against my project? And a lot of the time it's because they're risk averse, because they don't look at theirs as their area as an investment. They look at their area as a service, an ongoing income or functionality generator, something that by doing it on a permanent basis is good for the business. Another area, and another key area of project versus product, of course, is what they're focused on. And as you can see from the slide, they're very much focused on the output in a project. So what is an output? Well, an output, guys, is a thing. It's a physical thing, something that you can point to and say, we did that. And it could be a bridge, it could be a piece of IT equipment, like a laptop, it could be a new process or a pathway within your particular environment. But an output is the thing that you create. It's an enabler. Whereas in the product environment, and once again, it's really important, project people and product people, that we understand the difference. In a product environment, they're very much focused on outcome, the difference, the change, the move from one environment to another environment, and how is that environment going to change. One thing that you'll find outcome-based people are particularly focused on are KPIs, key performance indicators, because they expect them to move. A project will deliver a thing, and through the use of that thing, yeah, key performance indicators are going to shift. They're going to change. Okay. So very much going back to the slide, yeah, the focus is on the outcome from the product side. Projects, as most of you will be aware, are always unique. Yeah? There's an ancient Chinese proverb that you can't swim in the same river twice because life moves on. Okay? So every project you undertake, every initiative that you regard as a project, whether that's a campaign, whether that's a pathway, whether that's HS2, yeah, you will never repeat the project. Something will be different. You've got to look at it uniquely. And this is where a lot of product-focused people struggle with project because they can't understand why the project manager is saying this is a unique situation because it's very similar to something we've done before. But what they've got to look at is the wider aspect. What has changed? The people involved may have changed. The external environment may have changed. Because the product is just part of an ecosystem. Yeah, it's just parcel of what we do already. Here at Certain Limited, as we add courses to our portfolio, yeah, they just become part of the ecosystem. They become part of Certain Limited. And then finally, the last thing that I want to talk about in detail is the fact that projects are there to bring about revolutionary change. You're moving from here to here, okay? Yeah, you're making large changes, a big jump. Whereas in the product environment, change does happen. It's very often not recognised, but it is happening, okay? As our environment changes, perhaps a new competitor comes along, or an old competitor disappears, or new technology comes along, a product will evolve, whereas a project will revolutionise the environment. And it's really important that we remember this, guys. As it said there right at the bottom, projects are driven from the inside. The project team is driving the project. Whereas the product is being driven by the outside. It's being driven by its circumstance, by its environment. So hopefully that has given you a few clues on the difference between the two and why it's important that we appreciate both. That we appreciate the project focus and we appreciate the product focus, because to be successful in business we need both. So let's have a look at the chief threats to both these situations. So if we start with the project environment, okay? One of the biggest threats in my experience over the years, both as a practitioner of project management and as a trainer and a coach of project management, yeah, is a lack of business involvement, a lack of involvement from the product people, okay? Because they're the people who are going to get value from the project. And we need to involve them because we don't want to reach a cliff edge at the end of the project. This is what this whole webinar is about avoiding that cliff edge at the end of the project, where, to use the metaphor used in business, and I'm sure you've heard this, we chuck things over the fence. So the first and the biggest threat is a lack of business involvement. So let's think of the benefits that that will bring if we involve the product-focused people in our project. Well, the first and most obvious is we get a better product. Okay? I'm a firm believer in this. Here at Certain Limited, yeah, I get involved and I'm involved intimately in the development of the product, but so is our marketing team. and so is our sales team. Because together we're going to get a better product. It reduces down the number of handoffs. Yeah. So you're not passing a product from pillar to post. Yeah. And life becomes more than task management because, you know, if you get very focused as a project manager on task management, planning the tasks, delegating the tasks, monitoring the tasks, chasing the tasks. Yeah? Whereas if we adopt a more product focus as a project manager, you spend a lot less time managing tasks and just improving the product, which will lead to greater value at the end of the project. And your teams, the people, will become what's known as self-managing. The whole agile project management movement is built around self-managing teams. Yeah. So, and think about this. Have you ever managed a productive team, in your opinion? And if you have, think back to how that felt as a manager. What did you have to do? And I'm sure that your answer is very little. And that's the sign of a good leader, that they have to do little management. Okay? Because people are not motivated by management. They're motivated by leadership. Okay? In fact, you know, one of the key efforts from a book called Motivation or Motivated Man was actually by a guy called Daniel Pink. Yeah? And he says one of the keys to motivation is autonomy. Let people manage themselves. Because the more you manage, I don't know if you've ever worked for a micromanager or a control freak, but the more they manage you, the less motivated you are. So we need to make sure that we are leading our people, not managing them. If you've got a, you know, you'll spot a problem manager because if they've got a performing team, they're stood at the edge waiting to interfere where they should be left alone. So those are some of the key threats to the project approach, which are answered by having a product focus. But it works the other way as well. Let's have a look at the other way. Okay. So the first thing is no vision. One thing projects are brilliant at is vision. Now remember, guys, a vision is a picture of a better future. And every project you have ever been involved with that's been successful will have had that vision. And that's sometimes missing from the product approach. They have no vision. They're bumbling along nicely, doing stuff, producing stuff, building stuff, but they have no overall vision or direction. And when it comes to a particular problem where a decision's got to be made on do we take one path or another path, there's indecisiveness, indecision, because they have no vision. They don't know which path to take because they have no vision. There's no actual improvement because there's no actual work carried out. You need project management to deliver the actual output. So the product approach benefits from the project approach by having that work and the focus of that work being the output. Because you cannot improve a service without changing it in some way. Okay? Even if you apply lean theories of waste management, you've still got to remove the stuff that's getting in the way. So that action needs to take place. And then finally, no ownership. You find in a product environment, one of the key difficulties that they come across is that there is no ownership, no accountability. Once again, it's just a, well, we suggested doing this, we did this. Okay? And once again, there's management, but there's no leadership. And it's really important, guys, that we take, if we're working in a product, if our focus is on product, that we utilise the project management element and facilities to provide ownership on the work that's done. So that was just looking at some of the basics of product and project focus, and understanding that there is, yes, a difference between the two, but it's a meeting of the two which will actually bring true benefit. So how do we do that? How do we bring together the best elements of project management and the best elements of product ownership or product management? Okay. And we have a phrase in the Agile community. Yeah? Think big, start small, and learn fast. And this slide shows us how that works. Okay? You know, we start at the top. What hurts the most? What is hurting us the most? Is it the technology? Is it the lack of product ownership? Is it too much management and not enough leadership? Is it too much leadership and not enough management? Okay. Where does it hurt the most? Why does it hurt? Yeah. Do some root cause analysis. Okay. Once again, we're going to throw out a couple more webinars out there soon, and one of them will be looking at how to run a retrospective. Why does it hurt? Being honest and transparent one with another. Why does it hurt? Yeah. And then what can we do to fix it? And notice this one, guys, this is really important. What small experiments can we run that will deliver the most value? What things can we do within our workplace that make very small changes but very big effect? Okay, delivers the most value. And if you've got 4 or 5 things that you think that you could do, prioritize them. Put them into a list. Okay? And say, right, okay, this is the one that we're going to try first. It might be the one that's easiest to do. It might be the one that's cheapest to do. But what can we do? What small things can we do to provide maximum value? And that is now starting to place itself front and centre of all the frameworks. It's what's known as the plan, do, check, act principle or process. What do we need to change? How do we propose to change it? Try something. Try anything. Yeah? You don't know what the result will be until you try it. It might surprise you. Check that it's working on a regular basis and then act accordingly. If you need to adapt, adapt. If you need to add something else, add something else. If you need to stop doing it, stop doing it. But have that information in front of you that it's actually making a difference. Whether it's making a good difference or whether it's making a bad difference will direct your act. So that's what I wanted to cover, guys. We're going to cover about 20 minutes, so we've covered about 20 minutes. I hope that that has been helpful to you. I'm going to invite Sophie back in. So she's just going to adjust the camera again and then jump back in, because we've got a question and answer session now. So if anybody got any questions, if on the right hand side of the screen you should see a Q&A box, and at the bottom of that box you're able to add your questions in. So if you want to put some questions into the box, Sophie's going to moderate for us, just in case we get some rude questions. So to hopefully take those out, or questions that
keep on my toes.
Yeah, keep you and me, because I've got to answer them.
Yes.
On our toes. So let's have a look what this question is. There we go.
So we've got one here. What is the key to a good project manager and product manager relationship?
Um, we were having a discussion in the office. It's about making sure, you know, I don't know if you've done conflict management or if you guys have done any conflict management, but it's about making sure that the agreement, the concessions that you make lead to a win-win situation. It's about understanding each other. It's about keeping lines of communication open. Yeah? It really is important that, you know, that you involve your product managers into your project, and that the product managers involve the project manager in things like vision and you know, making sure that the product's moving forward all the time. Yeah.
It's all about that relationship. So thank you for that question. So now we've got one from Emily. Which training course would you suggest for someone looking to move into a project management role?
Well, that's quite interesting because there are a number of different frameworks out there, and just to mention a few, Emily. Yeah. Obviously, Prince2 is still very popular and out there. And we are very close to being accredited for Prince2. We should come the new year.
It's on the way.
We should have that, and that's good. APM, if you're looking to really extend yourself. So once again, depending on where you particularly are, Emily, if you've got quite a lot of experience with project management, then something like APM or PMI would be a good idea. Agile PM, if you're working in an agile environment, that's, you know, for me, a really good course. But what I want to mention now, and it's really important, we've got a suite of fundamental courses, one-day courses, project management, Scrum, and Agile. Yeah, and if you're just starting out on your journey, they're a perfect starter point. No prerequisites. Get you in there, get you understanding terminology and key principles and practices within. That's where I would start if I was starting out there, and then decide where you're going to go from there.
There's plenty of options though.
Plenty of options that you can do. But if you're new to project management or you think it's something you want to move into, yeah, invest in a one-day course. Okay.
Sounds good. Hope that helps, Emily. We've got one from Mike. I'm running a project to implement a new recruitment process into our organisation. This is due to the fact we are all working from home and need to recruit virtually. What one thing would you suggest is vital in a project today? That's a good question.
It's a brilliant question, especially as we're sat in Manchester and what's happening around us right now. It is strange. These are completely new times. All my experience, all my practice, all my training, yeah, it's new. Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say, having, you know, been involved in projects, that the one vital part of any project is communication. Yeah, so plan it. It doesn't happen by chance, guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, plan it. Really put some thought into how you're going to communicate. You know, what tools are you going to use? Zoom, Teams, Adobe. Yeah, you know, how are you going to do it, and really think and plan how you're going to communicate daily. All right, don't let a day go by. A day's a long time in a project. We all know that. So that's my one thing. Focus on communication. Yeah? Get that right.
Communication is key, so they say.
Yeah, excellent.
I think that might be it for questions, unless anyone else has got any that they're working on.
No, I think that's.
I think that might be it.
Which is good timing, us.
Pretty much perfect, yeah. So thank you, Mark, for that. That was very interesting.
That's okay.
And I hope that has helped you guys. If you've enjoyed it or you want to learn any more, you can find out more information at our website, which is at the bottom of your screen now. We're also offering at the moment a discount code, which is TREAT, just that one word, TREAT, to get you some discount.